None of that. You can't have it. Stop it. Stop it. Wake up. Wake up.
Okay, I'm awake.
Are you?
Yeah.
Good, because we have an awesome episode.
Yes, we do.
We got a movie review.
Woo!
Like a double kind of feature movie review, too.
A double kind of feature? I
double-
think it is a double feature.
Well, it is, but it's you got a documentary that's only like 40 minutes long and then an hour and a half movie. So it's kind of, they're not on the same, and they're not even the same thing. One's like a live reenactment and then the other's actual documentary. So
Okay.
they're not really comparable, but at the same time, we're going to be talking about both. Hello and welcome to the Strive Nation podcast, the podcast where we talk about the monotony of daily life. But hey, that's okay because sometimes that's exactly what you need in this crazy world. My name is Cory Estreen, and as always, I'm joined with Taylor Huff. How are you doing this fine afternoon?
I'm good.
You're good?
Yeah.
Little tired?
I don't understand why I'm tired, but I'm tired.
This weekend has been kind of tiring.
We haven't done a whole lot.
I know, we've had the weekend off. It's been nice.
It's been so nice.
I know. I don't usually get that.
Yeah.
Spent a little time last night watching these movies and films.
Yep.
It was really, really nice. A couple hours crying. It was lovely.
Yeah, just beautiful.
A little therapeutic, cathartic.
Yeah.
Yeah. What are you drinking?
I'm drinking a mocktail.
And what is a mocktail?
It's a non-alcoholic cocktail. So there's this girl on TikTok who's been talking about how she likes having fun drinks in the summer, which I very much relate to. But she's like, I don't necessarily need to be drinking alcohol. And I have been drinking a lot of alcohol lately from the 4th of July and just in general. So I made a mocktail. It's lime juice, coconut water, and key lime LaCroix.
There you go.
It's
That's
good.
nice.
Do you want to try it?
Yes, please. You got to do the ASMR every time, don't you?
Yeah.
You just, man.
You're ruining it. I love ASMR.
Okay, there you go. Yeah. Yeah, it's not bad.
Cory's like, cool.
It's
Tastes like water.
No, it's it's not that bad. It's pretty good.
This is just the first one. I want to like freeze some limes and some pineapple and blend that up with coconut water.
Oh, I see.
You see?
I see.
See where my mind's going?
Yeah, I mean, coconuts are good.
I'm being healthy.
Yeah, I'm just surprised that you have no alcohol in there, considering we're talking about abortion today again.
I really want alcohol. I'm trying to not drink alcohol. That makes me sound like an alcoholic. I'm not an alcoholic. Oh, God. I promise. I'm trying to be healthy.
Well, I
and
appreciate
hydrate.
you.
Thank you.
Yeah.
What are you drinking?
I'm drinking coffee, as per usual. I normally drink coffee in the mornings. I don't do well without caffeine, so I think that's part of it. And then Taylor also taught me that sugar isn't a flavor.
Yeah, this morning.
So I'm like, what do you put in your coffee? Well, I put a lot of creamer and sugar, heavy whipping cream and then sugar. And I was like, she's like, you're not going to put in the French vanilla flavor? And I'm like, why do I need that? I have sugar. Sugar's the flavoring. And she's like, that's not a flavor. That's just a sweetener.
Yeah.
And I was like, oh, you put in both. And I was like, okay. So yeah, she taught me that. It does taste a little bit better.
Yeah. You can put flavorings in hot coffee.
Yeah. Sugar's not a flavor. Didn't know that.
It's
Good
not.
news. Good news.
You learn something new every day.
Yeah. So pause the episode. You're going to need a drink because we are talking about some hot topics today, some controversial issues. Last episode, we talked a little bit about Roe v. Wade, had our Strive Nation abortion guide. Hopefully that was helpful. Hopefully you understood some of the points. Mm-hmm. But yeah, it's gonna get serious. This is episode 15. Another movie review for you. Before we start the show, make sure that you go right now and follow on Instagram, Twitter, and Facebook at Strive Nation Pod for all the coolest content on the internet. And for you visual people, head over to YouTube and smash the subscribe button and like every video to show that you care. But first,
Upvotes and downvotes.
go for it.
All right, my upvote is Cory time.
Yay!
Yes, we got to have the weekend together, and this happens very rarely where we get a weekend together. We don't have to do anything. So it's been nice to just be like, the normal folk out there.
Oh, the normal folk.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's been good.
It's good to be among the peasants.
You
I'm
know,
just kidding.
I get a weekend with him, and then he goes overnights for the next week.
Yeah, that's going to be interesting also because I don't have any associates coming to help me. They will not come.
Oh,
So I don't know what I'm going to do.
interesting.
Yeah.
But I had a good time being normal with you. It was fun. What about you?
It's good. Again, my upvote is also that I have the weekend off. It's very relaxing. It's hot here, but it's very relaxing. Go for walks. Tried to go for breakfast. We tried.
Tried being
Yeah.
the key word.
Yeah, but it's nice to have a full weekend off. We'll have another one at the end of this month, going to the raceway and stuff. So yeah, it'll be a good time.
Nice.
What's your downvote?
You already mentioned it.
Breakfast?
Breakfast. So Cory was trying to be really cute and say, hey, we never go get breakfast in the mornings together. Let's go get breakfast. And then, well, the problem is we live in Nashville and it's summertime and it's a Saturday. So absolutely every place that has breakfast is slam packed. So where I wanted to go is this cute little diner. They're closed. They're on vacation. Then we walked to another Broken Egg, packed, line out the door.
Never been there, but we thought it would be a good idea just to try it.
Yeah, just to
try
try.
new things.
Yeah, we're just going to go to the bagel shop. That wouldn't fill up Cory. So we're like, let's drive. Let's go to Snooze. No parking at Snooze. Absolutely anywhere.
And it was pretty busy at the time as well.
It was super busy. So we basically drove around.
Then we drove, not just yet. Then we drove to the gas station. Went in the gas station to get food because we didn't want to look any longer.
Oh, yeah. And then they didn't have anything.
And then
so
it
we
looked
still
really
left.
bad. And then we left there.
Oh, and then we went to Joyland.
Yeah, and that
Sean,
was okay. We had burgers. We didn't even get breakfast. No coffee, no
I got
breakfast.
a breakfast sandwich.
I mean, yeah. Having a
We got
breakfast sandwich at
brunch.
2 in the afternoon doesn't necessarily count as breakfast.
That's true. It was like 2 p.m.
Yeah. So
anyways, we should have gotten up earlier, had a plan, and then executed the plan. Instead, we kind of just wandered around aimlessly of Nashville until we realized we had no food to eat. So
yeah, it was very hard to find food, but it's fine.
It's fine. We survived.
In America, we are very privileged to have food at all. So
True.
yes.
What's your downvote?
My downvote is that we have to clean today. It is getting done today. It's got to be done. But yeah, don't feel like it. But yeah, this place gets obnoxiously dirty. I mean, I don't know how often y'all clean your apartments and houses and things, but maybe it's just because like time flies so quickly and it seems like it gets dirty quickly, or maybe it's just don't clean enough.
Well, I don't clean, so.
Well, there's that. Yeah.
Yeah.
All right. That was our upvotes and downvotes. Let's get into the main topic for today. We're going to be talking about abortion. We're going to be talking about 2 movies. One called Choosing Death, The Legacy of Roe by The Daily Wire. And the other, Unplanned, which was a blockbuster movie release in theaters in 2019. We're going to be talking about both of these films, what we thought of them, and the implications of Roe v. Wade.
So let's jump into it.
Okay, so why did we decide to review these films?
Because you've been begging me to watch Unplanned for 3 years now, and I finally decided to watch it.
That's true. So I actually watched Unplanned, which is basically the story of Abby Johnson. It's based on her true story, okay, and it's based on her book of her progression from being pro-choice, growing up, going to college, getting indoctrinated, becoming part of Planned Parenthood, and then subsequently leaving Planned Parenthood and thereafter.
Yes.
That's what her story is. So the movie's about her. It's a live reenactment with actors and everything. Mm-hmm. So we decided to watch that because I went to the theater alone. And this was back when Taylor wasn't really, she was kind of still pro-choice at that time, I think.
I was, I don't know if I was necessarily I was figuring shit out. That's the time I was in.
Yeah, so she was relatively figuring stuff out at the time, but would not go. And like girls, I don't know if you want to speak on this a little bit about like, is it traumatizing when you know, or it's just like you don't want to face the reality of what this is and that you supported that?
Yeah, because this was when I was trying to like sort everything out and really figure out what I believed. I don't think I wanted to be confronted with the truth. So that's why I didn't want to go watch. Because it's a lot easier to say, I have no idea what I'm talking about. I don't have all the information, so I don't really have an opinion. It's so much easier to do that than to really dig down, do the research, find out like the horrific stories, and then have to come to terms with what you actually believe. And then you have to like really back it up. Like you have to stand up and say, this is what I believe because of X, Y, and Z. You are morally wrong. I just didn't want to do it.
Yeah, and as we discussed in the last episode, it's really, really, really hard to fundamentally back up the pro-choice side on stances because they just don't really hold water. They're illogical. They're immoral. Mm-hmm. And that's what we got into last episode. So make sure you go back and check out last episode. You'll really enjoy it. It is our longest episode that we've ever released.
Yeah.
It is the abortion debate guide on the pro-life side. Mm-hmm. So we think you'll really enjoy that. What did you think of Unplanned?
I really liked it.
Or at least why did we watch Unplanned? Mainly because you didn't see it and we thought it was a good time based on the Roe v. Wade decision?
Yeah, it was really good timing. I feel like the past year and a half or so, I've really come to flesh out my beliefs, look at statistics, really, I don't know, you can only listen to Stephen Crowder talk about abortion so many times until you 1000% agree with him. So I've really come to terms with, this is my beliefs, this is what I believed in the past, that's really fucked up. And with the whole Roe v. Wade debacle happening, and then along with the Daily Wire's documentary being put out, I felt like it was really good timing to just like rip the Band-Aid off. I'm going to talk about it. I'm going to let everyone know my beliefs. You can get pissed at me if you want. And I'm just going to rip the Band-Aid off and watch all these documentaries and movies and just cry for one long weekend and leave it at that.
Well, I mean, I cried a lot watching both of those last night.
Yeah.
It's very hard. Like if you're a feeling person, it's going to be very hard. You have to convince yourself that this isn't true and it's real and it's all fake. Like, that's the only way to get through it.
Yeah.
Because if there's any ounce of you that believes it's true and believes the stories, then you're gonna have a rough time with it. Mm-hmm. But yeah, we thought it was a good time. Let's go back on Roe versus Wade. We just talked about this. It was overturned. Mm-hmm. What the implications of it getting turned back to the states? I think there's a little...
just means it goes back to the states, and your state that you live in now gets to decide what are the laws around it.
Right.
So if you want to live in a state that is still pro-choice and allows abortion, you can move and live in a state and vote for those kind of policies. If you are pro-life, you can live in a state that has the same beliefs, and you can vote for your elective officials who are going to put those laws in place. So Tennessee, pro-life state. That's why we live here. We like it. If you live in D.C., New York, California, Illinois, all those places are very much pro-choice. A lot of them are up to including live birth. So if you want to kill your baby, have fun. Not my cup of tea, but...
Yikes.
That's just what Roe versus Wade means.
Basically, means. Yeah. And that's why they finally pushed it back to the states. I mean, if you want to get an abortion, it's there. But it was never intended. It was supposed to be safe, legal, and rare. And even in those circumstances, it's really hard to morally justify it.
Yeah.
Even the founders thought this has been going on for a long time of like, if it's determined to human life, we all have basic human rights. You can't infringe on another. And we'll talk about a lot more of this inside the film reviews themselves. But in comparison to the rest of the world, too, the U.S., I don't think people, when they go, my body, my choice, and they hold these signs up and everything, like my own uterus, all this stuff, I really don't know. I don't think they know what they're talking about or what they support, or all they know in their brains is my body, my choice. That's it. And it's a very shallow, like as Jordan Peterson say, it's a very low resolution viewpoint to have because it doesn't consider anything else. It's from the outset. As a progressive, like it's like as the progressives like positive outlook, my body, my choice. Women should have the right to. But there's nothing beneath that. There's no digging. There's nothing. It doesn't matter the consequences of everything. The tip of the iceberg as what's underneath. It's just that tip as long as it looks good and what you can see. That's it.
Yeah.
So the rest of the countries around the world are actually far more strict on abortion. A large majority of them are actually, if they do even have abortion, they're restricted to the first trimester only.
Yeah, that's what something people are like, I don't want to live in the U.S. anymore. I don't want to celebrate America. And I'm like, well, America is one of the few places where you can have an abortion.
Yeah.
So,
Like literally few places and few places in which it's not restricted in some states at all.
yeah,
Really.
I think it's
So.
the U.S., China, obviously, because they still have a 2-child law. So they're just forcing women into abortions. And then I believe Italy also allows abortion. But other than that, like France, Germany, Netherlands, all of the Netherlands, who everyone likes to talk about being so fucking amazing, they have stricter abortion guidelines and rules than the U.S. does.
Yeah, so people say this, I want to leave the United States, I want to do this, and they have no idea what they're talking about. It's every issue, right?
Yeah.
And these people genuinely hate America, which is, it's scary. It's like they've been bred up by progressives to hate America, though.
Yeah.
Because progressives tell you how bad things are and how much things need to change, and they're constantly pushing boundaries. Well, if you grow up, and you're educated to believe there's so much wrong with America, you're going to have the perspective that America's a bad place and that you hate it.
Yeah.
And you live here. So it's just a very negative kind of outlook, and I think it's really impacting children who grow up these days.
Yeah, I definitely think that the media, education system, parents, where kids right now aren't taught to be proud of being American and proud of the red, white, and blue and soldiers and our military and police officers and all this thing. Like when we were growing up, we had a very, very high level of respect for those people.
Yeah, it's like a pride for one's nation.
Yeah, and I think a lot of that is really lost now.
Yeah, it's quite sad and something that we definitely have to regain in our culture. I just don't think a lot of these conglomerates are they're doing a disservice to America.
Yeah.
In a large way.
So moral of the story is if you don't like the policies, move.
I mean, you could tell that on July 4th. Look what happened with all these modern, these hateful feminists that like, I can't celebrate America. You can't celebrate America because apparently you lost your ability to kill your baby. Congratulations. Like that's what it is. Like
it's so ridiculous.
Yeah. It's like you hate America because you lost your ability to kill your baby. You'd rather be told that you're not strong enough to have a baby, that your life is over, and that having a baby is the worst decision you could possibly make. Yeah. And you're not strong enough to deal with it. How positive is that?
It's not.
So yeah, so let's get into Choosing Death, the Legacy of Roe first. It was written and directed by Ian Reed, produced, funded by the Daily Wire.
Yes, Daily Wire film. I think they did a really, really good job with it. It's a short documentary, but it is a really hard topic. So I think it makes it not easy to digest, but a little bit more manageable given the time constraint of the movie to get through it. So
yeah, it's 40 minutes. It's not long at all. It's like 42-minute documentary.
They put a lot in there though. Look, I really appreciate they go headfirst into, and it's not just this is what we all think of, like it's not just this is what we think of abortion. It's here's all these people that have been impacted by abortion in several different ways, and we want you to hear their stories.
Well, and that's what I thought was really, really cool about it. I really enjoyed it. It was very hard-hitting, straight to the facts, straight to the actual interviews. And the interviews are done by like 95% of women in there. So the whole idea of like men, my body, my choice, men, if you don't have a uterus, you don't get a say, which is funny because now they know what women are, right? Because now men should be able to have uteruses and everything else. So that's what's really hilarious about it. So it completely goes against their narrative that was 2 to 3 weeks ago. So they don't really know what they're talking about at any time. Mm-hmm. But yeah, really hard hitting, straight to the facts. And like I said, most of the people in the actual documentary who are women. So you can't even use that. These are all positions held by women. It's like, I always think it's funny how the majority of women think that it's their body, their choices. And you're cutting out a huge segment of the population that completely disagree with you. Mm-hmm. What about all these women in this film, like literally heads of their discipline, talking about how abortion is bad and the things that the anecdotes, the facts, the statistics on these things. Yeah. What do you have to say to them? Mm-hmm. You know? So I thought that was really cool. I thought it was powerful and positive as well.
Yes, I really enjoyed that aspect of they tried to keep it positive. They tried to, be like, here's the silver lining. Here's all the work that we can do and we're going to do. Because I think it's something that the left and progressives do quite well is they bitch and offer no solutions. And it's something that conservatives have been kind of mindful of we can complain about something, but if we complain, we have to put some ideas out there.
Yeah, we're not allowed to complain without solutions.
Yeah.
That's always been a thing. I mean, since I started, at least the last 5 years, it's always been a thing. You're not allowed to complain about something unless you have a solution, or at least, even if it's not a solution, or ideas for change.
Yeah.
Something you can put into motion instead of just complaining with nothing behind it.
Yeah, exactly. So I thought that was really nice. That was a really good positive outlook they had in it.
Yeah, it's like taking all the funding for all this stuff and retroactively putting it back into these pro-life centers, putting it back into these women so that they can be helped with their children when they're born. You know, positive programs instead of the opposite, which is the mirror end of it.
Yeah.
Is saying, hey, you're not strong enough. You can't afford this. We're funding the death of your baby and sending you on your way, despite how traumatized you're going to be once you leave. Like, that is exactly what's happening with these people.
Yeah, definitely. So let's jump into the documentary is mostly interviews. So there's 5 people that they interviewed specifically, and we'll kind of break them down. So we have Abby Johnson. Obviously, we've talked about her a little bit. Claire Caldwell, Dr. Hammond, Lila Rose, and then Christina Bennett. So let's start with Abby Johnson because we're going to be talking about her a ton this episode. She is the episode, basically. So she's a former clinic director for Planned Parenthood. She wrote the book Unplanned that also got turned into a movie afterwards. So her interviews were really enlightening because, again, she worked for Planned Parenthood for 8 years. So she really was, her eyes were open to how it's a money-making machine, how abortion pays for absolutely everything, including her salary. In her interview in Choosing Death, she talked about how they used to give hush money to women after they realized that they had left like parts of their baby in their uterus still.
Yeah, so after the abortion, I mean, for those of you who've seen this stuff, you know how the abortions work, how they have to go in and take parts out.
Yeah.
That's how they clean it out, etc. But sometimes they accidentally leave parts. They don't get everything. So what they would do is they pay these women, you know, $700 checks, $800 checks to be quiet about this. They didn't want anyone knowing. And a lot of these narratives you'll start to see, a lot of it is Planned Parenthood, etc., keeping things quiet about the things they're doing. They don't want anyone knowing at any time. Cops, anything illegal that they're doing, because a lot was happening illegally as well. But yeah, it's kind of crazy. Abby talks about it a lot in she shows a lot in Unplanned as well as in this Choosing Death.
Yeah. So that was kind of crazy.
Yeah. I thought it was interesting too on how much, like, if it's such a good practice and you're helping women, why do you have to continually escort them out the back door so no one can see? So cops can't see. So, you can't call ambulance. It's something happened wrong with the procedure. You need to can't call an ambulance. You know, no ambulances. They can't know about this. People outside who were especially like praying, you know, pro-life advocates, they can't see anything. Oh, my parents are out front. They can't see. If it's such a good endeavor and you're helping women, why is that a problem? Why are you hiding people out the back? Yeah. It's just contradictory in my opinion. It's very shadowy.
That's the thing is, it's something that Abby mentions in the movie that, you know, if you're so proud of what you're doing, you would tell your parents. You know something's not good when you're not willing to tell your mom about it. And that's the same aspect of this, is if what you think your company is doing is so amazing for women, why do you not open up to the public and show them what you're doing since it's so great?
Right, and same thing. Why do you have large, huge metal gates around everything so no one can come in? You know, you're worried about people doing something. You know, why are you worried about people doing something?
Exactly.
You know, hospital. You know, hospitals don't really have that. I mean, in some places they do, but.
Well, they allow people in.
Well, right. They allow people in. They don't have security and gates and everything.
Difference. Yeah. We'll come back to Abby, but I want to talk about everyone else in this documentary. Claire Caldwell was an abortion survivor. That story gave me literal goosebumps.
Yeah. So that was one of the hardest hitting stories, I think, in the.
Oh, for sure.
You want to talk a bit about Claire?
Yeah. So Claire was adopted at a really young age, and then she found her birth mother further down the road. She's like, I want to know who my birth mother is. Did the whole thing. turned out her birth mother got pregnant with her when she was 13, and her birth mother tried to have an abortion. And what Claire found out was that she was originally a twin, and her twin was aborted, and they did not realize that there was twins in there. So Claire survived.
Yeah. So that is crazy because I don't know what the statistics on abortion survivors are, but that is like that's gotta be like once in a lifetime deal right there. The fact that you go to have an abortion, you have an abortion, and you think you're fine, and still one baby is left in there and she had physical complications as well.
Yes, when she was born, she had club feet and she had a dislocated hip.
Yeah,
and it was from the failed abortion.
But that is absolutely crazy. Imagine growing up knowing that your mom tried to abort you and it failed.
Well, she had no idea until she was older.
Right. That's what I'm saying now. Like that's what I'm saying. Now that you do know that you would have had a sibling that was killed by your mother.
That's insane.
And that if she knew about you, you would have probably been killed as well.
Yeah, you also would have been aborted. Yeah, because she goes to her birth mother and says, thank you so much for giving me life, and I found a really lovely home, and I have amazing parents, and I want to thank you for giving me this opportunity. And then the birth mother's like, I tried to abort you.
Yeah,
like I didn't want to give you a life.
Right.
That's
yeah,
insane.
It's absolutely insane. The fact that people like these feminists and things, they feel that they have control over who lives and who dies. That blows my mind. Like especially when it comes to this story.
Yeah,
it's insane.
Yeah,
but yeah, that was really good for her for making for taking a positive aspect out of it though, doing participating in this film, telling her story.
Yeah.
Because, that was super, super impactful, super, super powerful.
Definitely.
Talk about a little bit about Dr. Hammond as well, which is a former abortionist. He was participating in abortions. He was doing the procedures for them for a year and a half. He committed 700 abortions, and he had to stop because a year and a half in of him doing the procedures, one of the babies kicked back at him, actually kicked him while he was trying.
Yeah.
And he instantly flipped a switch. As a lot of these things do. Same thing with Abby. It's, where they just flip a switch. A lot of these people flip a switch with something that's so human, you can't disregard it.
Yeah.
And while he was trying to take these pieces of the baby out, it kicked at him, and he realized, I am taking a life right now.
Yeah.
And then, which is worse because he couldn't finish, she actually had to go to the hospital, and then they had to finish removing the baby, didn't they? Because it was too far, what he was doing was too far gone, and they had to fix it, basically, right?
Yeah, he thought that she was only 12 to 15 weeks pregnant, and then he realized while he was in the middle of it, there was too much amniotic fluid coming out, and then realized, oh, she's a lot farther along than she had told me to, and then that's when he started having the complications, and then she had to go to the hospital, but it was too late to save her child.
Right, because he had started and everything.
Yeah, they still had to finish the abortion.
Yeah, but after that, he was completely changed. And listening to him in this documentary as well, you can tell he has a rough time talking about it. He's very choked up when he's talking about this. There's a moment where they just the camera just sits on him and he doesn't say anything.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's a really, really tough topic. But the good thing is after that, after change, now he's just delivering babies. And he's done over 4,000.
Yeah.
As of the documentary. So that's really positive. Obviously, people, it's hard to believe that, God will ever forgive you for these things. But, he is a just God, and he knows people's hearts, and people do change. And especially a lot of these people they don't understand, and they don't know. They've been told so many things.
Yeah, they've been so indoctrinated and brainwashed that they're told, it's just a fetus, it's just a fetus, it's just a fetus. It doesn't feel anything. It doesn't know it's happening. It doesn't know it's happening. Well, when a baby kicks you, that makes it a pretty, alive human being.
Well, which is funny also, because, it's not a human being. Okay, then what kicked you?
Exactly.
What kicked the wall of your stomach?
Yeah.
Is it a fetus or is it your baby? And what time does it become your baby? This is what we went over the last episode is these arguments just fall flat. It's like anything. Why do you have to do so much convincing yourself that these things aren't a baby? Why? When you struggle and it's so inconvenient to the argument that you have to find things to make it true, then you might be wrong.
Yeah, exactly. Grasping at straws.
Right. Another one is Lila Rose. You want to talk about Lila?
Yeah, I freaking love Lila.
Yeah, she's badass.
She's really cool. So she is the person who founded Live Action. They post a lot of really great resources and information on like Instagram. So you should follow her on there. So Lila Rose, when she was in college, was learning about abortion clinics and how a lot of abuse came out of abortion clinics. So she was curious and started going undercover into these clinics to see, are these stats really true? Because it was stats for other countries. Other countries were talking about the abuse, and she wanted to see if that was true for the US. So started going undercover in LA to abortion clinics and found out, yes, everything is true. There is a huge amount of abuse that goes around in abortion clinics. She looks very young as is. When she was in college, she looked even younger. So she'd go in there and say, you know, I'm 15, my boyfriend is 31, I need an abortion. So right there, that's statutory rape. She's 15, this man is 31. The nurses in the clinics wouldn't say anything. They said, we're going to change your name.
Yeah, and we don't care how old he is. He's 31. We don't care.
But he says, I don't care how old he is. And all they want to make sure is that, you know, do you have the money to pay for your abortion? We're going to get this done for you today. We're going to change your name on all of the paperwork because we don't want to raise suspicion. We don't want, you know, your paperwork's going to get flagged if we put that you're 15 on here.
Right. So they straight up illegal things were happening in these clinics. I mean, even some weird relationships with the abusers in these clinics would abuse them, bring them to these clinics. They would fix whatever, and then they would be repeat.
Yeah,
they'd keep coming back to them, and the abortion clinics would hide this stuff.
Yeah,
they wouldn't be calling the police. They would do whatever they can not to call the police. What one cop said, he never had one call to the one of these abortion clinics in like 15 years or something.
Yeah, when she was researching, she talked to different police, because that's the thing with the healthcare field is they are supposed to be the people who are taking notice of, you know, self-harm, of abuse, and they're supposed to report on it. You know, that's like a main thing about being a healthcare professional. You work in an abortion clinic, you are a registered nurse, like you are a healthcare professional. So she was talking to all these different police officers and said not once has an abortion clinic called us and said, hey, we think we're seeing signs of abuse with this girl. We're going to keep her safe until you come here and like drop a report. Never happened.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yep. So stuff like that happens all the time. But she went in there. She'd see women puking in the hallways. They would be crying. Like not a good atmosphere. Not a positive atmosphere where you say that you're helping women. Yeah. I don't think you go in there. I mean, that's traumatizing. I don't think there's any scenario in which they leave super happy. Like that's my thing is how do you convince yourself that you're in a better place after going to one of those places and doing this?
Yeah.
Like, are you genuine? Do you leave that place going, oh, thank God?
Don't think so.
I mean, maybe you do at the time, but you don't live with regrets? You're telling me that you don't live with regrets? Yeah. You don't think about that? You do having done that? You know? But yeah.
So last interview we have is Christina Bennett. So she's a pro-life advocate and also a minister. Christina's interview is interesting. So her mom was going to abort her, but then last minute, while she was in the procedure room, changed her mind and left. So Christina would not be around if her mom had gone through with her abortion. And after hearing that story, she really dedicated her life to the church and being a pro-life advocate. And Christina talks really in depth about the racism in abortions and how it's a racist procedure. And she talks a ton about Margaret Sanger, which was really informational. Obviously, we've read up on Margaret Sanger, especially from Candace Owens' Blackout book. But this is just further proof that Planned Parenthood was founded with racist intentions.
Yes. Yeah, we go big into that in our last episode too. Make sure you go back and look at that.
But it boils down to Margaret Sanger was paying Black ministers to talk about the benefits of Planned Parenthood and how they are going to help the community. So they're getting paid off to talk about it, and then the people in the Black community would go and then get abortions. Yep. Some
crazy, dark, shadowy stuff going on.
Yeah, for sure.
Okay, you want to talk about Unplanned. Overall, you thought Choosing Death was good, well shot, well implemented?
Oh, super well shot. I really liked the cinematography of it.
Yeah, very quick, to the point, powerful. I enjoyed it. Yeah, documentary, whereas Unplanned, what we're going to talk about, it was not. It was like a live reenactment based on a true story.
Yeah, film that's adapted from Abby Johnson's book titled Unplanned.
Yes. It's directed by Chuck Konzelman and Carrie Solomon.
And was released in 2019.
Yes. What do you think of Unplanned?
I really liked it. I thought it was really, really well done. I'm always kind of nervous about movies that aren't done by these huge productions because I assume that the quality is not going to be as good, or the writing or the actors aren't going to be as good. And it was really, really well done.
Yeah, I was surprised that normally, I'm like, okay, at least one of these actors are going to be bad, and I didn't think any of them were bad.
No.
That's the thing. I didn't think, and this is a pro-life movie, probably not a huge amount of funding.
Oh, for sure.
And I didn't think any of them were bad, personally.
No, not at all. I thought the casting was done really well.
Yeah.
I thought it was shot really... They did a really good job. Like, it's graphic.
Yes.
It's a very graphic movie. And they definitely toe the line of being graphic and too graphic. But they did it enough and in powerful ways that you will not forget that, and that will make a lasting impact on you.
Yeah, so in the beginning of the film, it's probably about 5-10 minutes in, they show the live suction abortion of a child.
Yeah.
I didn't watch it this time. I don't think I'll be able to watch it again. I watched it in theaters, the whole thing straight through, but I couldn't watch it. And I think you watched the whole thing.
This time, yeah.
Yeah. What did you think of that?
It was horrific.
Yeah.
It was bad.
They do a lot of things. It's very hard to watch, but they show the whole thing. They show like the baby squirming, trying to move away from the suction, it trying to get away, stuff like that to make it more powerful, regardless of whether you believe babies actually do that. Abby anecdotally says that's what happened. She talks about that, where that's the reason she flipped the switch and said she has to get out of there is because she had never seen that before.
Yeah.
And saw the baby moving and trying to get away from the suction. It's very traumatizing for her.
Yeah.
Yeah, they go through that entire process. But like I said, it starts out with her being a young teen. They show that right in the beginning of the film, so you have perspective on how horrible this is.
Yeah.
And then they start off the movie when she's going into college and interacting with Planned Parenthood, and then thereafter going through 8 years of Planned Parenthood, becoming a director, going to corporate, being employee of the year.
Yeah.
And then right after that, leaving Planned Parenthood and then getting sued by Planned Parenthood. So the entire full circle. How did you think Ashley Bratcher did, who played Abby's character?
Oh, she was amazing.
You thought she was really good?
Oh, yeah. So talented.
Yeah, I was very impressed, especially like hard-hitting issues like this. You have to be able to obviously cry and show distress and things. She goes through a multitude of traumatizing situations in that film. Abby aborted 2 of her children, technically.
Yes.
She had one that was, she had one, they didn't really go into the one. She actually was in the clinic, I don't know what type of abortion that was.
I think that was a D&E.
What is the D&E?
Which is the dismemberment.
The dismemberment one?
Yeah.
But she also had one that was
she had the chemical.
A chemical-induced abortion, and that was traumatizing.
It was really graphic.
Yeah, because what it does is the chemical apparently kills everything inside, right?
Yeah.
And then disposes of it.
Basically liquefies.
Yeah, well, apparently they told her it was going to be fine, a little bit of discomfort, but it would gently leave her uterus, right? And that's not what happened.
No.
24-hour ordeal, incomplete pain where she thought she was going to die. And then she passes chunks of whatever was up there and bleeding all over the place. So extremely traumatizing. The film does show all this, just visual, very visual. Spoiler alert, beware of this. It's very hard to get through, but yeah, I thought her acting was impeccable.
Oh yeah,
throughout the whole film, I thought she was great. Her husband, I thought he was pretty good. It gives you a good idea of who the guy is in real life too, if it's anything close.
Oh, for sure, because her husband is pro-life.
Yes.
So that was a interesting thing to see as well, like their dynamic. I think I want to read Abby's book and see if it dives more into their relationship, because I'm curious into how you can be pro-life, but then you are married to someone who works for Planned Parenthood and who sells abortions every day.
Well, and part of it is confusing me, because I had that too. Is like this seems like something that you can't get over as someone in a relationship. One being person extremely pro-choice, even working for a clinic and killing these babies. If you're pro-life and you're that into it. I'm just wondering how big he was. Was he like kind of coastally, kind of like a pro-life, like I'm pro-life because I think it, but then not really thinking about it. But some parts in the movie make me think, like when she talks to her daughter and lies to her about that, and he goes, "Are you proud of yourself?" Like that right there tells me that he was like more, like it was a serious issue for him. But like, how do you marry someone? I mean, if you can't help who you're in love with. You're in love with someone. Yeah. But maybe, from my point of view, maybe he always hoped and he prayed and he knew that eventually she would change her mind, which she did, right?
Which she did. And I think a huge part of that is when she started work for Planned Parenthood, when she was working for Planned Parenthood, she repeatedly says, you know, I want to give healthcare. I want to give reproductive health care to women. I want to help women, coach them on all their decisions. She was never in it to give abortions. She was always under the mindset of, that's something we do. That's not everything we do. Like, she was really brainwashed by that.
Yeah, she was really in like, I mean, once she understood the financials, but I think she really convinced herself that she was trying to limit the number of abortions that happened by providing the other services.
Yeah.
When in reality, once she started to find out, like, yeah, that's not what I do. Because it turns out you were the number one facility in giving abortions.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's bone-chilling. She goes and wins Employee of the Year, and then they talk about how everyone's abortion numbers need to double. And she's like, I have a question. I thought we're supposed to limit the amount of abortions. And she's like, abortions have never been my number one thing. I've always wanted to talk to women about birth control and all their options. She's like, why would we want to double our abortion numbers when we want to see that down? And then the corporate girl goes crazy on her and says,
yeah, loses her shit.
Abortion,
gets physical with her.
Yeah, abortion is what pays your salary. Abortion is the soda and French fries of our industry.
Yeah, we nonprofit is a title. It's not a business model.
Mm-hmm.
She says that we provide services, which are the burgers. The burgers are basically free, but where we make all our money is the soda and fries. Abortion is the soda and fries.
Yeah.
Which basically what you're saying is you make all of your money. Which goes big in turn with what you were saying.
Mm-hmm.
If abortion is only 3%
of what Planned Parenthood does.
Of what Planned Parenthood does and the money they make, then why are they all freaking out now that Roe v. Wade was overturned and that they're all going to have to go bankrupt? What does that tell you?
They make all their money on abortion.
Well, that's because they do. Yep. But no one's willing to talk about that. So
I liked how she shed light on it.
Yeah,
though.
I like how they showed this, like, the relationship between her and how all her family reacted. Her parents, her mom, her dad, just other people. Even the pro-life, the advocates that were always at the gate praying. Yeah. I loved how they were there throughout and they were even cordial. You know, like she knew them on a first name basis. She
developed a friendship with them.
Yeah, she did over time. Were they there for 8 years, like praying daily like that?
Yeah.
That is insane.
Their office was next door to the abortion clinic.
Yeah, insane. Yeah. So, yeah, but it's really heartwarming to see, you know, that they were able to make an impact on her.
Mm-hmm. I think it's really nice to also see that their organization, the pro-life organization, they're like, we're here to help women, you know, no judgment. We want to do whatever we can for you. And they even bring up, Abby's like, you know, who wants to approach you guys when you have a Grim Reaper with you and you have all these horrific pictures? And the girl for the pro-life office says that is not part of us. She's like, they're protesters. I've asked them to leave because I know that's not helping anyone. I know it's very intimidating. She's like, that is not part of our organization. She's like, we are here praying, offering help to women who want it. She's like, we're like, the Grim Reaper is not our MO. Which is nice for them to acknowledge, because I've definitely seen that outside of a Planned Parenthood, like driving past and seeing all the protesters with the signs. And I'm always thinking like, oh, it's not really effective way to get people to change their mind.
Well, because it's aggressive.
It's aggressive and it's scary.
Well, and that goes apart, like just showing that, okay, you're dealing with a situation negatively, which is getting an abortion. But you're responding to the abortion in a negative situation by scaring people and alienating them. Mm-hmm. Why wouldn't you want to befriend them in a way that's positive by empowering them and telling them that you can help, which is what the pro-life organization
was doing. Yeah.
Right? They were preparing in there like, if you need help, we're here for you. We understand that
like
sometimes
we'll help you get resources.
Right. versus the alternative, which is a negative kind of negatively connotated message by the Grim Reaper man.
Yeah, exactly. And that was also another really cool aspect that, they kept bringing up, like, we want to help women, we're no judgment, blah, blah, blah. And then when Abby finally wants out of Planned Parenthood, she goes to them and says, I need to talk to you. All they do is sit and listen to her talk, how she feels about it. And they say, do you want out? She says, yes. They said, we will help you get a job. Don't tell anyone yet. We want to make sure that you can be financially secure with your family. They offer solutions. They offer to help her.
Right.
Which is really heartwarming.
Yeah, which is really interesting, too. A lot of people for this film claimed that it was all lies, that Abby was completely telling lies. Mm-hmm. It's very descriptive if it indeed is lies. Also, if it was all lies, especially touted by Planned Parenthood, then why would they sue her at the end of it?
Exactly.
Suing is legal documents. It's real. You can look it up. Why would you sue someone? And then lose the court case, by the way, because there was no basis for their... She didn't do anything wrong. So, yeah, it's very fishy. I don't see also, like I said, Abby Johnson, I don't see, she already made a book, so I don't see, like, oh, she's lying and it's all fake and she's just looking for money. Mm-hmm. I don't see that's the case, because if it's true, then why wouldn't she take all the money and just head out and leave and rug pull everyone? But no, she's been doing this for a very long time and is still doing the pro-life advocacy still here.
She's a part of that organization that helped her get out of Planned Parenthood. Their office is now built on top of where that Planned Parenthood used to be.
Yes.
And she still works for them on a daily basis.
Right. So, yeah, very, very cool.
Yeah, really in it for that non-profit church money.
Yeah, that's the other thing is, it's very... Everyone's lining pockets when there's no monetary benefit to helping these people.
No.
Whereas the abortions, there is, even though they're quote-unquote non-profit.
Yeah, non-profit, but they charge you different amounts of money depending on how far along you are.
Yeah, but the biggest thing about the film is it's very traumatizing, and it's meant to be traumatizing to show you what happens. And that's a big part of it, too, is I want to talk about the bias. Obviously, the film is biased. It's pro-life film. It wants you to believe that pro-life is morally correct. Mm-hmm. Pro-choice is morally wrong. And it's pitting itself that way as well. It's showing the nasty sides of how, of the pro-choice arguments. It's showing what abortion is and what it does.
Yeah.
Where it's always funny, all of these critics, these Rotten Tomato critics and other critics, which is really funny, it's a horrible film. It's a horrible film. It's very biased. Okay, explain to me the other side. Why don't you give me a pro-choice documentary and film that gives me good arguments that make sense?
Yeah.
I mean, you can't, but I would like you to try, but they won't.
No.
They just say reproductive rights for women and my body, my choice. And that's about it. It sounds great. And there's, like I said, the iceberg. They don't show you anything that's below the 90%, right?
Yeah, it's not backed up at all.
Obviously, with the critics, there is a discrepancy between the critics review and the audience review. The audience review on Rotten Tomatoes gave it a 94%, which is very, very high. Anything over 90 is very high. And the critics gave it a 42%. Yet again, we have realized that the critics, the woke media conglomerates in LA, Silicon Valley, they are at 42%, and they're all woke as hell and very leftist.
Yeah, it's really funny reading the reviews. There's not that many critic reviews on this movie, of course, because they don't want to watch a movie that might make them question their beliefs.
Right.
But I did find one. It's from National Post and written by Chris Knight. The title of his review is Anti-Abortion Film Unplanned is Useless Propaganda and poorly made cinema packed with lies. This film is preaching to the choir. No one who disagrees with this central tenet will be watching. So he talks about the premise of what the movie is, what Abby says, calls her a relentless Christian, kind of tries to paint her in this negative light. And at the end says, but none of this matters because the film is preaching to the choir. No one who disagrees with the central tenet will be watching, and even if presented to a mixed audience, Unplanned is neither smart enough to rally anyone to the cause nor dumb enough to alienate those who believe its message. As propaganda, therefore, it's basically useless.
Yeah.
Which I find very interesting because I disagree with that. I think if this is presented to a mixed audience, I do not understand how anyone watches this movie and still is pro-choice.
Well, it's the same thing with choosing death. How do you watch either of these? Mm-hmm. Like with an open mind. relatively mixed audience.
Like semi-opened mind.
Just semi-open mind.
Yeah.
And still come out. You have to have been so indoctrinated. You have to be telling yourself that everything you're watching is lies and be so ingrained in ideology and ideologically possessed that you're not going to see it any other way. Then why are you watching the film, right?
Exactly.
So, and this film isn't meant for you because I don't mean to be a dick here, but you're a lost cause. If you're not willing to be open-minded, you're a lost cause anyways.
Yeah.
The only one, it's like one of those people, it's like alcoholics, if they don't want help, they're not going to get help.
Yeah.
They have to help themselves.
Same
it's kind of like
aspect.
that.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, the thing that I found was really interesting is so Amazon is relatively woke as well, just like all these big Silicon Valley companies.
Oh, yeah.
And they have Unplanned up for rent and buying on their website. It has a 4.6 stars on Amazon Prime, which is funny because you'd think that they would like mute that or algorithmically depress that.
Throttle it.
Yeah, and it's not. So that's really surprised me.
I don't understand Amazon.
Yeah, they don't. They go back and forth on things. They removed, Johnny the Walrus because of that shit.
Daily
It's just
Wire is like constantly fighting with
and
Amazon.
then you got this
Yet
right
they're
up
like
there. It's
cool with Unplanned for a hot second.
It's one of those things where like they do what they can not to get in trouble. So this was probably removed because it wasn't on there before, and then they put it on there. And once it loses spotlight, they'll put it back up, type of thing.
Yeah,
saying,
so
I don't know what you're talking about. It's up there,
Exactly. Yeah, they didn't put it up when it was newly released from theaters. Yeah, you're right.
Do you know what I'm saying? And they'll do the same thing with Daily Wire with all these because they don't believe in the messages. But at the same time, they don't want to get caught out with their fingers in the candy bowl,
Well, their fingers are in the candy bowl right now with the terminal list, so.
Yeah, well, yeah, we'll see. So, generally, I thought both of these are positive outlooks. They end their messages in both the documentary and the film with positive outlooks for women and empowering women.
Positive.
Right. Give your money to these pro-life advocates or the people that are having children themselves and empower them that they can do this. They're strong women and they can do this. They can have a job. They can have a family. They can have a life that they want. Having children can be the best decision they ever make. Right?
Yeah.
Instead of telling them that they're too weak. They can't do this. It's going to ruin their life. You know what I'm saying? It's a complete 180 twist.
Yeah.
There. But yeah, I thought they're both really good. I really enjoyed them.
Me too. I think it was nice to watch them together too. Like you get to see Abby Johnson in real life, her interviews, and then you get to watch a movie that, tells her whole story. So if you, feeling really mopey and like want to cry for an afternoon, just watch them together.
Well, I recommend them both. Like I strongly insist that you all subscribe to the Daily Wire and watch Choosing Death. Watch a lot of their content. They're coming out with a lot lately. They got JP on there as well, but it's really, really good stuff. Go watch the film if you are subscribed. It's great. Unplanned you can rent on Amazon. I think we rented it for like $2.99.
It's on Apple TV.
It's on a lot of different stuff. Look it up. Watch both of them. They're both really, really great. If you are pro-choice and you're listening to this, just watch them with an open mind and understand that it is a positive outlook that they're trying to come at you with. It's not this negative, like we want to control women's bodies.
Yeah.
And also Choosing Death goes into the lies that, that are constantly perpetuated. So yeah, let us know what you think of this kind of double feature review of both of these films. We really enjoyed it. Thought it was a good time, especially with the Roe v. Wade stuff going on.
Yes. As always, we release our shows on a bi-weekly schedule. So next show upload is going to be on Wednesday, Season 3, Episode 15 on August 3rd. Yes, that will be indeed our July monthly scoop.
Hey guys, thank you so much for listening to this week's episode of the Strive Nation podcast with your hosts Cory, Estreen, and Taylor Huff.
Make sure you follow us on all social media platforms at Strive Nation Pod on Twitter, Facebook, Instagram, and YouTube.
Join us for our next episode in 2 weeks. And remember, when the world is upside down, Strive Nation is right side up for you guys. Have a good one.